After stopping Team Aqua for doing some shady things in the laboratory, as Misty and Jasmine has given gifts from the scientists there, after retrieving the item and pretty much did everything they could do there, as Misty and Jasmine continue on their journeys, as Misty and Jasmine seems to be lost, which of course they argue who got the loss in the first place. But after arguing about 30 minutes and realizing the yelling won't get them nowhere, they decided for the long day to take a rest for a bit, which gave Misty an opportunity to have a one-on-one time with her newest Pokemon catcher, which is Pelipper. And after a talk with it, Misty finds out that it's more a headache trouble than it is, because she finds out Pelipper is some sort a cheeky misfit Pokemon trying to pretty much steal others Misty's Pokemon food and doing some nasty tricks that the young redhead doesn't appreciate, to the point where Misty really doesn't like Pelipper at all. But most importantly, she has a hard time commanding yeah, Pelipper in a battle. So the water Pokemon does seem to listen to Misty, but at times Pelipper will get simply get fed up with the battle and pretty much do its own thing and trying to have fun with the opponent rather than trying to win, which does get Misty quite annoyed by this, especially Jasmine, because she feels like this Pokemon doesn't take battles that seriously, and even some of her Pokemon that doesn't seem to like Pelipper. Well, except for a few, as Misty's Pokemon seems to tolerate the flying bird Pokemon, except for one, Celio. Since Celio has been Misty for the longest time, he shares the same mindset of Misty and pretty much doesn't like Pelipper one bit. Mudkip, on the other hand, seems to be okay with Pelipper's presence, but the one that really likes Pelipper the most is simply Loaded, because it also has a slight Misty nature, but not to the point like Pelipper. To the point once these two are together, they're pretty much fooling around the campsite, which annoys Misty and of course Jasmine, and to the point where the rest of the group had pretty much had enough with Pelipper and Loader, to the point they want to mess with someone else, perhaps a wild Pokemon, and after finding one seems to be a white electric Pokemon named Fluffy, and after pretty much mess with the Pokemon, it seems to be quite angered because the both Pokemon find out this particular Pokemon that has a lot of temper. Because of that, it begins a huge fight, and because the two are fighting up against an electric type, it simply went pretty badly with both Pokemon, to the point where Pelipper gains the most injury from the fight. And once the Lotad is badly hurt and the fluffy Pokemon seems to charge with a powerful Thunder Punch, but one thing that Lotad didn't expect is that Pelipper seems to take that attack for his new friend, because he kind of felt bad because he did drag Lotad in a situation that he would never been in. And after Pelipper is pretty much knocked, this forces Lotad to get quite angry, and it never felt this new emotion before, to the point where it kind of pushed it to evolve into Lombrea, and thanks to its newest power, it does seem to back off Fluffy, but unexpectedly this Fluffy seems to be quite strong, to the point where it's pushing the new evolution Pokemon down until a rock snake simply absorbed most of the electric text thanks to Jasmine sending out Onyx, and luckily Onyx is there too much to block most of the electric damage, but unfortunately this Fluffy seems to be on a rampage, not slowing down, and not sure how to put it down, but also doesn't want to injure the Pokemon because it wouldn't be in a situation if it wasn't for the two. So without any other choice, Jasmine simply throws a Pokeball, and unexpectedly it seems like Fluffy might have been so weak enough that allows Jasmine to capture it, which shocks herself. And once Jasmine grabs a Pokemon, she pretty much drags the two Pokemon that cause the damage as she gives Misty her two Pokemon, and Misty has a stern talking to Pelipper and Rumblade. But Misty is quite surprised when she did find out her Pokemon evolved, but still quite mad at the two Pokemon because they could have gotten this up seriously if it wasn't for Jasmine. And after that small hiccup at the end, the two trainers simply heads towards their next destination. After that small event where Misty's Pokemon got a huge fight with the one Pokemon, but luckily once Jasmine sorts that out as the two trainers continue on as they finally made a gym leader, and Misty unexpected feels a bit feeling a bit weird, but unsure what it is. But regardless, she enters in the gym and find out there's an older man inside and seems to be a gym leader named Watson. And Watson, even though his age is getting to it, but not his fiery spirit, as Watson just sees the two and thinking that it's his next challenges, and Misty is pulling out a Pokemon and demanding for a challenge, and Watson, being the joyful man that he is, doesn't want to back down from a gym battle. As the two trainers wait for the referee to call out their first Pokemon move, this will be a 2 versus 2 match. As Misty deciding wanting to send out something strong, sending out Celio to battle, and once Watson sees this very strong water Pokemon, as he simply grins and sending out a very powerful Pokemon, as Misty simply gets his teeth and eyes widen, finding out that Watson sends out a Magic to battle, and finding out that Watson is an electric type gym specialist, and Misty, realizing the dire of her situation, finding out that she's going to struggle so much in this battle already that it's not even a bit fun. Even Silo could even sense how much difference between the two, but not wanting to let down her trainer as Silo sucks out a powerful water force towards Electric. But unfortunately, the dog Pokemon seems to take the attack and simply fire a powerful shockwave, which the move never misses as it scatters throughout the battlefield, getting Celio caught in the blast as Silo is already took him the super effective damage, and Misty seems to be frozen in the battle, not sure what a water type could do against an electric type, but she has to think of something and commands for Silo to use a powerful aura beam, trying to slow down Electric with an ice type, but unfortunately, Electric simply moves out of the way and Watson calls for a quick attack as the electric Pokemon simply throughout the battlefield and just simply charge towards Celio in brute force. As Misty tries to take a free opportunity with a powerful body slam, but unfortunately the Sarge Pokemon simply moves out of the way and launches a powerful bite attack, which does get Celio to flinch a bit as it tries to do a powerful water punch, but couldn't shoot it outright, leaving Volminic to land another powerful shockwave. And unfortunately, even though Celio is the tankiest Pokemon that Misty has, and especially his strongest, couldn't resist the super effective attack as Celio is simply knocked out, and Misty, realizing he just lost her ace Pokemon already against Watson, as Misty seems to be a bit frightened, even scared to send out a Pokemon, but apparently just simply sends out a Pokemon that she doesn't know if she could walk, but just panically picks Mudkip. But unfortunately, Mudkip did even worse than Celio because Mudkip couldn't overcome Manectric's electric attacks and simply is too overwhelmed because of it, as Misty is simply defeated by Watson, as it is clearly shown that Misty stood no chance against Watson and his electric type Pokemons. As Misty is just trying to find out more about Watson and his battle style and wanting to scout out the rest of his Pokemon as it's Jasmine's turn to battle Watson, and unfortunately, unlike Misty, as Jasmine is much more prepared because her Pokemon isn't weak to electric type. In fact, thanks to her particular Pokemon Onyx being a ground typing to counter Manectric, and Manectric itself is quite struggling to do any some sort of damage to Onyx, which allows for Onyx to put down Manectric with a powerful, powerful rock slide. And once Watson is out of one Pokemon down and sending out Magma to battle, as Jasmine, wanting to resolve Onyx as much as possible, decided to send out Fluffy to battle. And unfortunately for Jasmine, Fluffy, even though is a quite strong Pokemon, but unfortunately it's quite of a rebellious Pokemon, not wanting to listen to Jasmine and just simply blinding attack Magmaton with the powerful thunder moves. But unfortunately it doesn't seem to affect Magmaton in any some sort, as Watson could sense it and uses his up as an advantage to take out Fluffy with a powerful shockwave, which does knock out Fluffy and to the ground, as Jasmine is quite disappointing, as she is going to have a hard time working on Fluffy, but regardless she still has one more Pokemon, and even though Onyx is weak against Magmatons, it's still typing, but unfortunately Onyx is still a very strong Pokemon, and thankfully Magmaton is just as weak to its ground typing, as Onyx just simply uses Dig to surprise Magmaton so surprisingly that it managed to knock down Watson's Magmaton, as Jasmine just simply wins her third badge, and Misty simply feels a bit angered and a bit jealous that it looks so effortlessly on her part and quickly looks down, unsure if she could ever defeat a trainer like Watson, and especially this Pokemon. The next day, however, Misty tries to have her second rematch with Watson, but unfortunately it went even worse than last time, as Misty barely did anything to Watson's Manectric, and even Misty changed up her strategy a bit, evolving around Manectric and trying to switch out different Pokemon, but unfortunately Misty just couldn't get through to Watson, and after receiving a second loss to Watson, as Misty feels a bit depressed after that, to the point where she nearly is in her room in the Pokemon Center all day, and her Pokemon desperately wants to cheer her up, but they just don't know what to do. But Celia seems to know what's wrong with her. Being her most oldest Pokemon, can understand that Misty is in a lot of a deeper situation, because she needs to get all the badges as soon as possible so that she can enter the Hoenn League, and therefore he can test herself to become a real trainer so that she could defend her mother's gym back in Kanto. But if she keeps running, if she can't even defeat Watson's electric type Manectric, she might throw her dream aside. And once Jasmine is kind of fed up on Misty being suppressed, as Jasmine pretty much forces Misty to get up of bed and trying to find a different way, but it seems like Jasmine isn't yet to Misty, as being a very stubborn redhead, as Jasmine just simply gets Misty to look on a weathercast tower that she has heard a lot, as the scientists are developing some way to control the weather, and if they could control the weather, they could get the plants in the surrounding area to grow much more efficiently. But unfortunately, once Jasmine tries to get Misty a bit excited, but it seems like it doesn't phase her, as the two just simply walks around in the weather tower, and unexpectedly, once they got into the higher level, and there's a huge commotion on the bottom floor, as they could see Team Aqua members have, like they previously met in a different facility. It seems like these Team Aqua members seems to be more aggressive, and they exactly know what to do, as they're trying to look for the professor, as they make their way deep on top of the tower, and Jasmine gets Misty to get focused up, because if the rocket mess up with the weather tower, it could cause disaster, and it seems like it's the only two here that could do something about it, as as this managed to get Misty to shake off her depressed and trying to save as many people in Team Aqua. And luckily, the lower ground of Team Aqua seems to be very easy, especially between two rookie trainers that are almost stronger than the average Pokemon trainer. But unfortunately, once they get higher on top of the weather tower, more strong opponent keeps pouring on to the point where Misty and Jasmine actually try much more harder as they finally met the strange trainer that they previously met, and it's revealed to be that trainer, and she is wielding a powerful Gyarados holding the scientist hostage, and this red-headed girl is intimidating the scientist to spill everything they have been detecting in the weather patterns. If she could find get her hands on the data, she could probably point where they could finally locate the mythical Pokemon they've been searching for years. But unexpectedly, Misty and Jasmine send out their toughest Pokemon as Misty sends out Celia and Jasmine sends out Aram to battle Gyarados, which Gyarados seems distracted, and the Misty is yelling out to this girl, who is she? And she explains her name is Shelly, and right now she likes Misty, and she could see Misty as a potential new member of Aqua, but unfortunately, she's gonna teach her a lesson that she isn't ready someone like her. As Shelly commands Gyarados to attack the two, and unfortunately for the two young trainers, their Pokemon could not overcome Gyarados, and especially its aggression in battle, as Silo is perhaps the only one who's actually doing effort against Gyarados, and Iron seems to lag behind, and finding out that Agon isn't strong enough to stand up together or even stand close to Celia. It gets a bit angry that it couldn't even do so and getting worried that it might not have the power to protect Jasmine, and because of that it forces itself to evolve into later on, and with that extra power that it previously lacked, it managed to get Gyarados in a wall until it's revealed that Shelly isn't even trying, and commands for Gyarados to blast throughout the area with a powerful Dragon Pulse as Gyarados charges a Draco Energy, blasting both mons into the corner to the point where Miss and Jasmine had to get to the Pokemon to check the engine, and luckily it's not too bad, but unfortunately Gyarados is in a line of sight, and Gyarados is in the process of charging another Dragon Ball until a Pokemon stops Gyarados with a powerful Scald attack. Even though it's a water type, it's just the Scald itself is so powerful to the point where Gyarados loses interest on Misty and Jasmine and focuses on this new Pokemon. It seems to be Malotech, and the two begin on a battle as the two serpents is quickly in a difficult battle, but unfortunately Shelly is Gyarados couldn't overcome a lot, even though that this Pokemon is much more smaller than Gyarados, but it still has more power than Gyarados that could ever dream of, as Melody simply puts down Gyarados with a powerful Ice Beam and forcing Shelly to return her Pokemon, and she's about to send her next Pokemon until a man covered in a hood reveals himself, and Shelly seems to be quite scared realizing who it is, and immediately as she knows he's not wanting to mess with the strain, as she just quickly ran out to the building out of the window, and Misty and Jasmine look upon the window, revealing that she somehow got away, including the rest of Team Aqua, as Misty and Jasmine look upon the stranger and wanting to know who it is, and is revealed to be the champion of Hoenn, to be known as Wallace. Once everything has settled, as Wallace himself making sure everyone is okay and looking upon the scientists and finding out that the scientists explain that Team Aqua are looking for the data and they're not sure why, but Wallace is grateful that the scientists explain the situation, and then Wallace looks upon the two trainers who managed to stall Team Aqua long enough so that he could arrive here, and is quite grateful as he introduced himself to Jasmine and Misty, as Jasmine is quite surprised that she is actually meeting the champion itself, Wallace, and Wallace simply bows his head and thanking Jasmine to be a very tough even though the situation is being intense, but he's grateful as Team Aqua is being nuisance of late, making his job much more harder to protect Hoenn. But but he gets Jasmine to make sure that the next time she meets Team Aqua again or anything like it, she has to call the Pokemon police to do the situation that are prepared to do, and Jasmine just simply nods to this as Misty on the other hand seems to be distracted as she is right now fangirling to meet Wallace, and right now she's being quite embarrassed for Jasmine as Jasmine simply has to her hand onto Misty to make sure that she doesn't embarrass herself as Misty and Jasmine begin in an argument. But at that center, Misty throws Jasmine aside and wanting to talk to Wallace. And Misty wants to ask something very personal for a while, and she doesn't know when she's going to ask them again. As Misty asks for Wallace, how did he get so strong? As Wallace simply smirks at this, as Wallace revealed that it's experience, and Misty is to be quite confused and thought that there might be a technique on getting stronger. But Wallace, being an honest man, says there's no trick. He just devote himself to become better than he did yesterday, to become the better version yesterday, and to learn everything that he could have improved yesterday. It's all about that, and especially for himself that he has lost plenty of time since his earliest journeys, and Misty seems to be quite shocked by this and thinking that all champion levels are just born strong. And Wallace just points out that all strong Pokemon shouldn't have the harshest losses, therefore they could no longer go lower than that, and it's revealed that it doesn't matter if you lose 10 or 20 times, as long as you get better, that's the biggest battle to win, to overcome your struggle. And after that, Misty seems to be feeling something inside her that she has lost ever since against Watson, and Misty is quite fascinated on on Wallace's philosophy to the point where Misty could no longer hold it in and asking for Wallace for a battle, and Wallace is taken aback as he has battled countless challenges, and normally they prove themselves by defeating the elite four males, or the organizer plan a future challenger that might be tough for Wallace, but none of them have proven, and this is perhaps the first time this rookie is bolding to challenge Wallace, as Jasmine is kind of yelling at this, but unfortunately Wallace stops Jasmine, and Wallace unexpectedly accept a message after, as the two look for a battle of some sort. As Wallace has sent out his trusty ace Pokemon to battle, Milotic to battle, and Misty, wanting to fangirl his Pokemon, quickly throws that aside and focus on the battle as she sends out Celebi to battle, and immediately Celebi is quite looking at Milotic as a very strong Pokemon, and Celebi wanting to redeem himself against Watson and failed her trainer, wanting to prove to Misty how capable it is. But unfortunately, once the battle begins, it seems like Celia is completely fighting up against a completely one-sided Pokemon, as Milotic simply doesn't even try to do anything and is already getting Celia in a back corner to the point where Celia is panicking a bit, but luckily Misty managed to calm down her Pokemon to stay focused. And with that, the two manage to get in the battle, which gets Wallace to try slightly harder, that she is impressed at Misty wanting to be a water type special that is already seeing Misty's resolve. But she still has a long way to go because as a water specialist himself, Wallace could see a few mistakes that Misty and Celia still needs to work upon, but unfortunately for him, Misty and Celia are trying so hard to do any towards Milotic as Milotic is forced to respond using a powerful skull attack which does give Silo in a bad corner very a bad position to the point where Silo is taking major damage from it, but not wanting to let down its trainer. Its cry simply cause as unfortunate as it tries to use a powerful water pulse, but suddenly it's evolving into a much more stronger attack. As Silo all of a sudden the ball simply disappears and Zero is commanding a huge portion of the ocean towards him as Zero simply rides to and as the wave simply crash down on Melody and revealed that Zero has learned a new move serve, which is a very strong water type move as Zero is has using it's a momentum to get it on top of Melody and plan to use a powerful body slam which surprisingly hits Melody, but unfortunately for Misty, they are facing up against a champion and the body slam wouldn't get to being thrown off as Melody simply being a serpent simply managed to weave out and managed to strangle Celio and squeeze it out, forcing Celio to use its endurance to simply try to endure and just simply uses a powerful ice beam on Celio, and Celio is simply frozen in place, and just like that, Celio is simply out of the battle, as Misty just simply concedes the battle, knowing that Celio and her has no match up against Wallace, but Celio and Misty have learned so much for them, and are quite thankful for the battle. Once the battle has over, Misty wouldn't be as sad as Misty has learned a lot about a battle with Wallace. As after Wallace finally battling with Misty and knowing how much she could potentially be as a challenger, as Wallace as he said goodbye for the two, and Misty is quite grateful that Wallace is taking out of his time as a very businessman to have a small battle with her, and Wallace himself is quite thankful for her for a long time. He hasn't had a fun battle like that, and just like that, Wallace is off to who knows where, as Misty has a lot to think of how to improve and try to say to herself over and over again in her head what Wallace said and her experience with Wallace's Pokemon. And after the revelation, Misty simply swerves and turns to Jasmine and pretty much asking for help. And all of a sudden, Jasmine's ear pick up as if she's getting interested, and she knows for a fact that Misty never asked her personally for help, as Misty could to admit that Jasmine is a better Pokemon trainer, but only by little. But it's just that she herself doesn't know how to overcome Pokemon disadvantage until Jasmine simply grins, and the first thing they're gonna do is a lot of training the next tomorrow. And after the next 2 days of so almost a week worth of training, that's to the point where Jasmine is giving harsh training on Misty's Pokemon, as Jasmine herself is aiding Misty on important things and especially written tested to force Misty to learn much more about her Pokemon. And after learning a few things about her Pokemon that she has never thought of, and after a week's work, Misty feels more confident than ever challenging on what's set for the battle ahead. And once the two return to Watson's gym, as the old man is quite surprised that Misty returns and kinda worried that she might never challenge Watson, and Watson feels pretty prideful that young train if for the young rookies to never give up. And once that's all sorted, as Misty and Watson goes to the previous arena where Misty remembers all the few mistakes that she has learned and going to use that information to guide her victory here. Once Misty and Watson has their fated rematch, and once the referee calls for the battle, Watson deciding he wants to switch up on Misty and sending out Magneton as Misty didn't expect that. She was hoping that Watson would send out Electric like last time and with Jasmine, but there's no problem for her. She will freely switch up her strategy and sending out a Pokemon that everyone didn't expect and kinda dumb on Misty as she sends out Pelipper to battle, and everyone is quite shocked. They already know Misty is already in a disadvantage, but sending out a Pokemon that is basically a 2 times weak against her type seems to be idiotic, and Jasmine seems to point that out. But for once, Misty is now letting Jasmine get into her, and she is pretty confident Pelipper is her right choice. And wanting to see what's on her sleeve as Watson simply commands for powerful shockwave, but unexpectedly once the attack goes through, and all of a sudden the battlefield seems to come in range, and it seems like Pelipper's ability it seems to kick off Drizzle, and but unfortunately Watson says that the attack is still going to hit, and so Misty commands for a protect as Pelipper seems to be attacked from the attack, and Watson is preparing for Misty to do something else and preparing for an assault attack, but unexpectedly Misty simply recalls Pelipper back as she sends out Lombre to battle as is a very unexpected but Messi is confident that unlike other Pokemon, Lombre is wouldn't be effective against electric thanks to its rest typing, but unfortunately it won't it still has to endure Magneton's powerful shockwave, but unfortunately Magneton seems to be stopped again as Messi calls out for a faker as Lombre simply collapses and in front of Magneton and simply is flinched from it and could not launch a powerful shockwave as Lombre is free to do any attack as it simply lands a powerful water burst directly at Magneton, which surprisingly is quite effect quite a lot of damage, especially during the way. And once Magneton seems to shaken off and done for the trick and commanding for a powerful shockwave, and this time is a guaranteed hit. But unexpectedly, Lame seems to move and move out of the battlefield, and shockingly, this gets Waz and Megalon quite surprising as Megalon tries to use and all of its electric typings to hit Lombre, and it's shown that Watson finally realized its Lombra's ability Swift Swim. Its speed increases during in the rain, meaning that Misty has been setting up the battlefield from the start using Pelipper to boost its water attack and allowing Lamen to weave throughout the battle. But unfortunately, there's one move that could still hit Lambre, but it's not electric type, as Watson commands for a sonic boom attack, as Magneton sends out a huge thunderwave throughout the battlefield, which does hit Lambre, and once Lambre is got shook from it as Watson commands for a shock wave, and this time it does manage to hit Lambre, but unexpectedly it opens up its eyes charlatanically, and as Misty commands for a powerful Giga Jet, as Lama just simply moves in Magneton's personal space and landing a powerful Giga Jet, getting some critical health back, as Magneton is simply overwhelmed and seems to be knocked out, as Misty finally beats one of Watson's electric typing Pokemon. And Misty seems to dance in celebration and learning to her trainer skill as Lamis does a letter dance itself very unexpectedly for a very docile Pokemon, and Watson seems to be quite excited and sending out Manectric to battle. And this time Manectric isn't as slow as Magneton, as Manectric actually could keep up with Lombre, and Lombre actually has to use its full speed to get Manectric a bit of a back foot as Lame sends out a powerful water pulse, which as Manectric simply moves out of the way and lands for a powerful bite attack as it's not letting go of Lombre and using a powerful shockwave to shock Lombre a bit, and not wanting for Lombre to be out of the battle that soon as Misty recalls Lombre and sending out Pelipper, and not only that the rain would have gotten down, but a developer seemed to activate its drizzle again, letting the rain to continue on as Watson in a back foot but commands for a powerful quick attack as it simply charges towards Palaphone over and over again with a powerful quick attack. Well, luckily, it's not landing shooting up any electric types, allowing for Misty for a powerful aerial ace as Pelipper, even though it's a bit of a lazier Pokemon and mischievous and seems to use that to its advantage as it quickly trick Manectric on doing a different path by completely doing an opposite direction, allowing Pelipper to do some major damage with aerial ace. And this gets Misty's idea filling with ideas about Pelipper, but unfortunately once Manectric seems to open his eyes up and sending out a powerful shockwave, and unfortunately Messi could no longer hide the fact that Pelipper is really weak to electric types, meaning Manectric simply one-shot Pelipper, and Messi has returned Pelipper back and sending out Lombre to battle. And thankfully, since the raid is still up and running, Lombre could just rely on its speed, but unfortunately, once Lombre uses Fake Out to get Manectric to stop and can't do its next attempt, allowing for Lombre to use a powerful Giga trying to get some crucial help until Watson used commands for quick attack. But unexpectedly, once Manectric gets close to it, it doesn't attack as Watson seems to switch out for a powerful Thunder Wave as Nombe is simply paralyzed and now could no longer move like it usually did in the battlefield, leaving Misty to be more careful in the battlefield as Melectric finally has a slower target trying to launch a powerful shockwave towards Lombe, and Misty feels that it might be over for Lombe, but unexpectedly Lombe doesn't want to give up as it endures the attack and trying to use the last ray that is still in the battlefield, launching a powerful Water Pulse and directly hits a Manectric. And this time Manectric is simply overwhelmed with the attacks from the previous two Pokemon, and Manectric seems to be out as Misty is the winner as Misty herself is even shocked and quickly celebrates the battle as Watson gives her her third badge, winning her second yet most impossible challenge as a water trainer beats electric type gym. And that's where we're going to end the episode there. Make sure you guys subscribe, leave a like, and leave a notification on the next upload. Until then, keep it peace.